Yeah, I'll just give you guys a more holistic view because these are the details. Of course, these are the detailed questions that we are, looking at. That how do craft becomes tools of activism and all the rest of the three. Uh, the whole idea of the project, I'll just reiterate once more, is to look at futures of crafts, which will be an activity-based session next Sunday. So how we approach a subject is, let's say we chose activism and crafts for this particular leg of the project. So how do we approach a subject is that we get a group together, which is this group, and we try to explore the subject with a discussion. And what we do usually is we keep these 3 4 questions as a starting point, and of course these are not the only 4 questions we'll be answering. Like the discussion can grow into anything. We are not looking at any particular direction, but yeah, this was kind of an idea of why we wanted to get this group together. So yeah, so Praveen, yeah, that is my intention. So we can, I think, we can go ahead with starting the conversation. Very particularly, I would like to build on to something that already has been discussed between Bhavya and Samira, is that the affordance part of a craft, let's say. So Samira comes from a space where she says that if crafts are more egalitarian, if crafts are reaching more people, then for an activist agenda, the such crafts which have a more egalitarian reach become better in terms of just pure activist agenda. If the craft is carrying on an agenda with it, like what I've seen with yarn bombing and knitting, is that there is a message which is propagated through the means of a craft, through the means of crafting. Whereas I think, Bhavya, what you were saying was more towards how the culture of consumerism in itself is like this big Goliath, and you have to, the kind of buying habits and consuming habits, or abstaining yourself from owning so much and meaningless stuff, and uh, not going towards the egalitarian route, but going towards a more substantial route. So that in itself, you're calling that in itself is an activist approach to change the way how people are consuming, let's say, textile, or or even food habits, and for that matter. So yeah, am I on the same page with you guys?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So let's say, Bhavya, if Gandhi's, let's say we backcast a little bit, you know we have this image in front of us which is Gandhi's. What Gandhi kind of, the philosophy that Gandhi started. So can we say that the future it rose into, which is today, that the kind of philosophy that you are approaching, your creations with, and how you are stating that this is how you should consume. Is that a derivation of? Can we say that? Is it a derivation of a very similar philosophy? It was
Uh,
of course, very khadi becomes, the only argument I think is that khadi is much more egalitarian.
Khadi, okay, the Khadi is a very conflicted, the basic philosophy of Khadi at the point was becoming more self-reliant and not depending on imported goods to support us. So I feel that's something different. That's more about being, as RPM would say, Atmanirbhar, and that is a different thing. Uh, and what khadi has become today, it's tragic, honestly, and because a, it is an enterprise that is controlled, KVIC is controlled by the government, and B, uh, the weavers that I've spoken to who do produce for Khadi, they don't have an employment contract. They work on a wages contract. So they have to sign off on a paper saying that they have produced this much today. And Khadi just pays them very little. If I have to put a number to it, it is 17 rupees a meter. And they are able to just be 5 meters a day if it's all hand woven and hand spun Khadi. So KVIC, which is a government run organization, is not able to meet the minimum wages set by its own government. So it is a very tragic situation. And whenever we try to have a conversation about textiles, about fashion with the government, they would romanticize khadi, and they would talk about how they are reclaiming and creating income opportunities through khadi. So it has been made accessible to a lot of people, but who is paying the price for it? And now also introduced poly khadi, which is basically khadi made from polyester yarns. So again, people are paying price for it being cheaper. The environment is paying price for it being cheaper. So we need to ask these questions: that why is something cheap? And why something more accessible right now? Maybe tomorrow we come up with laws which are environmental laws or which are ethical laws. We don't have humanitarian strong policies here in India, but when we do have that, then it'll be expensive. Then what will, if we are not going to pay minimum wages or fair wages, then of course things are going to be cheaper.
Issues. Anybody would like to continue, Samira, if you would like to take it?
Yeah, I
Put
would
your point there.
just another point to it. I mean, when I'm flattening crafts and I'm just looking at crafts, and using craft as activism, not clothes or not fashion particularly, but I was thinking about this thing called botanical activism that is being practiced in some cities like Berlin, and they are basically propagating fruit tree branches and sort of like putting it on ornamental trees or ornamental bushes so that fruit trees grow. And they are saying, why do we need ornamental plantations or vegetations in the city when we can grow fruit trees or we can grow vegetable trees and we can have that kind of impact on the local neighborhoods,
Right.
Hi, Joe.
I miss.
And
Yeah.
so I was continuing on what you were saying, that and what this whole conversation was going actually with Bhavya also, that I'm looking at craft and flattening it, and now I'm seeing that there are botanical activism that is happening where propagation is happening of fruit trees and ornamental trees in the urban areas, and I'm saying, okay, that's is that egalitarian? Is that affordable? Like eventually, like craft activism is supposed to be something that not supposed to be. There's no should or could, but
Yeah.
I understand fair price situation. I understand that things can't. I understand this. I completely am with this logic that things, if they are cheap, someone is paying a price. I think we've seen it a number of times. So maybe that's not the route to the fashion activism or styling activism.
Right. See, if I am coming from a space of, where I've dealt with crafts, and I think crafts is a very loose term when we look at it. If my mom is making, let's say we make those rangolis, at every festival. So even an HR making a rangoli at a corporate office in India, that little drawing on the floor, that is also a craft, and something we were taking like 6 months to, just make a small piece of handkerchief, which is so subtle that it can pass through the ring of, the space between the finger and the ring. So I think there's a very big spectrum that we all deal with, and, all of us are kind of associated with various vantage points in this, the whole spectrum. Someone like us, let's say I have been dealing with the very fabrication oriented crafts of Jaipur, like, metal beating, forging, and then structures and, woodwork. So these crafts were more egalitarian. Of course, there's a spectrum of the, consumers. But if you move to, let's say, carving in wood, So if it's a very intricate carving in wood, so through time also, only like very, how do you say, patrons of these crafts were never like everyone, like someone would save up for entire life and just before the wedding of his son or daughter, they would gift a chair which would have a small panel of carving but like exquisite. So, that was the kind of association we had. And I personally remember a time where my grandmother, she used to barter, saris or, patches of embroideries for utensils. So this is a very common practice in UP and also in like Rajasthan. So such small economies were existing. So this was a very different. Why do I consider it in the ecosystem of crafts is that for me, like let's say the product continues to live after the activity and the purchase and everything has happened. So even after the life cycle with the consumer, there was a role of that thing, and it would get exchanged for a utensil. And so Nishtha also, I have been seeing her doing macrame, and her purposes I would like to iterate right now that were very different. Her purposes were not to do with any sort of mass activism. Her purpose was, I'll just do a very small thing that it was, kind of dealing with a personal loss. So it was like activism for herself, and she doesn't like to go out much. Like I have been telling her that you should move out of the home, like not right now, of course. Right now is a bad time to move out. Please don't. Before the lockdown, also she likes to stay within her space, and she likes to call people in her space and not go out. So for her, this craft was like a. What would you like to say on that? Like, what sort of activism is that? With,
Inside, I think
yeah.
something to deal with the emotions which I was going through, but I was not able to express in words, and I was not able to show because my family members were also going through the same emotion, so I had to be the pillar for them. So macrame was what you say, like there's this quote called sorry, I'm just forgetting. 1 second, I'll just tell you because it's in my Instagram.
What is the essence of the quote?
I know I'll tell you the quote.
We can do with lesser poetry. We
Yeah.
just know.
It's by Carrie Fisher, who played Princess Leia in Star Wars. So the quote is, "Take your broken heart, make it into art." So macrame is something which this is how it got into my life, and that's how I'm pursuing it. Yeah.
I'd like to say that this is like the only thing she has been consistent at in the last 2-3 years. Like she keeps on taking on activities, but this, such a, I think that's what I think, like personal incidents in life also define a craftsman a lot. I think those kind of, the kind of craft you take up will always be something that you speak with, in a very different manner. And you won't just choose anything to deal with anything, there will be a certain, like, I'm pretty sure that macrame has some sort of a building philosophy that, kind of helps you, reaffirm that you are building onto something every day.
Yes.
I think that is the character of the craft is also very, I just love it, the various characters that crafts here. Okay. Yeah. Anyone else? Like this is a free thing. Yeah, please. Come in. Gaurav, you have been dealing with learning on so many different levels, and so I hosted a show called Art Attack. It was on Disney, and he hosted the Indian leg of the show. So I think he has been my first foray into crafts other than the home. Because I remember when I was preparing for NID, someone told me you should watch this show if you want to crack the studio test. So I was like, okay. So Mad and your show that I
No
used to
idea.
watch.
But I guess because there is no other resource in India when it comes to pure art and craft, as such. And we have very strong connotation to these words like craft. For children, it's something very school oriented that is done there. They don't even relate it to what we are talking about. Although that is even older, and all the our parents' generation is coming from. But I don't know. It was never highlighted. I guess it's not in our culture to propagate this as knowledge forward, or even as a habit. I would say, it should have been a part of our daily. But somehow we have taken more concrete as a culture forward. Just saying, all our houses are made from, so plastic is taken forward in culture, like all utensils are converting into that. So, but nobody is kind of consciously thinking about. So I guess we need to re-educate. Somebody has to take a stand and say, no, this is, and somehow it's very contextual. Also, I'm an animator, so I might exaggerate. I'm saying the good guys don't brag about themselves as much as the bad guys do. Why not? I'm saying, why can't, if somebody thinks it's a good thing to do or a good practice, why can't we publicize it as strongly? And why do we have to appear like always, I don't know, because when you take too many perspectives forward, you sometimes lose your own, because you agree to everything. But I guess, so I don't know if I'm making sense. Also, yeah, I also feel maybe redefining what craft means, because I sometimes have this depressive thought that the craft might go away with the person who's practicing it, especially in a culture like India. So if there is no one to physically pick up the craft and take it forward, then how do you retain the consciousness of that craft, but take it forward in another way? Because the new generation might agree to use technology, for example, that Praveen also keeps talking about and working around. Maybe some other medium, but still take if not the physical craft, but at least the consciousness of it. I don't know. Because after 1 or 2 generations, I don't know who's going to physically know but that particular technique or that particular form that they used to generate. How do we stop that, or at least retain it?
Like a personal activism can be, retaining the old methods somehow, archiving them, building legacies is also a sort of an activism. Yeah, sweetie, you want to comment?
Yeah, actually, adding to this whole idea of how do you carry it forward or redefine this whole idea of craft, I would like to share this little story of the chef. She's based in London and she runs this restaurant called Darjeeling Express. And speaking of craftsmanship, her father was a very, very avid mango cultivator. So he was somebody who was cultivating a lot of varieties of mango at his ancestral property in Pakistan. And like this sensibility of a father that he shared with her, while the little nuances of how do you differentiate taste, how do you differentiate aroma, that appreciation for like a portable object, that's what his daughter took forward, and they developed into something completely different. And it was also a way of her to what Nishtha was talking about when she said that this whole idea of macrame gives a peace. And I mean, this chef was actually, she was a PhD in law from London school, some London school, and then she got back to cooking and this Indian style of cooking as a way to get in touch with her roots, because she was very unhappy in her life. So I mean, it's crafting is also about dealing with these aspects of life where it is something much more than making and consuming. It's a way of life, and I think it's a wonderful way to look at it.
Yeah, I agree. Sorry, I don't know if I can just talk. Everyone's being so polite and raising their hand. But I think that when you're dealing with something like craft, it's so huge, and especially in a country like India with such a long history and so many different crafts, especially when it's kind of gone in so many different directions. Like the labor of a lot of people in India in factories and whatever has been devalued. The labor of crafts in general has been devalued. One of my jobs was working with a company that audited factories. that did apparel, and just the labor conditions are horrible, and so many things with craft have been devalued around the world, and it's hard to kind of find your foothold. And I think whether you're making macrame to deal with a family loss, which is beautiful, and I want to hear more about that, or whether you are working with making fashion sustainable, or whether you're making it more, trying to make it more affordable, these are all very valuable expressions of how craft can be used, and they're all different and they're all unique. And I think that it's hard to get, it's sometimes easy to get lost because there's so much history and things happening now and things that you could create going forward, but it's hard to find your thing. So it's great that you're all coming together and finding different things, and you kind of have to find your own avenue that works for you, and that can be hard and beautiful and frustrating all at the same time.
Like how do you associate with activism, you guys? Like, we haven't had a chance of, understanding your ideas about it. Like, people still framing concepts.
I think it's mostly about self-expression when you think about it. Right now, we're just finding ways to put it out because there's a lot going on in our minds. Everyone is finding different ways to do things. Kuch cheeze, people did not do a lot of things before the pandemic, and suddenly people are doing amazing things all together, and they're learning new things, which is all about sorting out our mind, basically. It's all self-expression, I feel.
Right.
For me as well, activism means expressing yourself. And as Akshata rightly said, to give a context, I never, in my 20 years of life, I never saw my father cooking. And in lockdown, I see him cooked for 3 months. So that's another meaning of activism for me.
I was just listening. Yeah. So to be honest, I was just pondering when everyone was talking about so strongly about activism. I don't think I support something very strongly, but to be honest, I don't see myself doing that for anything. But there are but when I was just thinking about it, whenever I open my Instagram, there's so much of friction on my feed. So I was just I think that somewhere the entire medium, I think it's just being diluted, because for a person like me who sees so much friction every day I wake up, every day I sleep, I check my Instagram, and then there's so much friction. But I don't know, I think always being exposed to it and just the only option of having is to like or comment is, I don't know, I don't even feel much connected to it. Yeah, I just wanted to point that out. I don't know if
Office where I was working.
Contribute.
Yeah. So taking up from that friction part, I think in current situation where a lot of revolt is going around the world, I think through craft people can bring up certain agencies where they can give some sort of aesthetic sense to those activities, right? So I was just thinking, you just maybe in a sense to reduce that visual friction on your mental memory. So in hopes that you are getting the right message, you're getting the unfiltered message, right? And you're not grabbing onto a certain opinion that could be of hatred or something like that.
Building on to what Aparna said is that I can relate with her a little bit in the sense that in my last workplace, we had a small quote written around. Some teacher had, printed a quote and put. So Salman Rushdie is a writer from India, and he wrote that in today's day and age, if you don't hate anything, then who even you are? So that kind of where he was coming from, I understood that, having a purpose or, having a agency in your life, to be an agency for something. So let's say you have documented a lot of, and you've understood the construct of activism, particularly in, context of crafts. So the purpose of activism, the activism in itself, let's say, how do you see people finding, these purposes, to even be vocal about, so for a young person who has just, developed a stance, intellectual stance. So he or she is, bombarded with, so many, let's say when Aparna goes on Instagram, so she's paralyzed between the causes she wants to choose in her life.
It's hard because like, I mean, I've been looking into this for almost 20 years and because I'm old, and it's hard. And because there are so many different things. And I think for me personally, it comes back to it always comes back to creating a world that I want to see. And unfortunately, it also comes towards knowing that I can't do everything. You kind of have to pick, and it doesn't mean you have to pick one thing. You can pick a few things. And I think that like, if there's a cause that you feel important, that you feel like is important, number one, and you can talk about it and you are curious about it. I think that we're always like, people are a lot of times, at least in America, are like, follow your passion, follow your dreams or whatever. But that's not going to get you very far in my experience if you're not curious about the craft, the history, what's happening, what you can contribute. And so I think part of it is just following your curiosity. If you want to make stuff that is like, a very high level of craft, and you want to go down that rabbit hole of history and make it the finest, craftsmanship. I hate that word craftsmanship because it's very gendered, because I think that, for craftspeopleship maybe, then you need to go, then you can look into that route if you want to go to technology and see what technology can do, because there's a great history of technology and crafts, and how they're connected with like the zeros and ones of technology and the knits and pearls, say, of knitting. And so it's more about figuring out where you're curious. And for me, it's like Sarah has gone to a more working with people in places of power, whereas I'm more about personal agency. And that's based on my own personal experiences of not feeling like I had a voice and not feeling like I was important, and exploring that and helping, because I think that if you can find your voice, then you can stand up in stronger ways, whether that's to yourself, to your family, to your friends, to your community, to the country, to the world. And so, yeah, long answer. Again, I know, surprise, but to be talking way too much. But I think it just depends on what you're curious about, and seeing if that's something that you can be curious about for like a day, or if maybe you have more and more and more questions. It can be a good way.
Okay, can I ask a small question, like a follow-up question on that, Betsy? Like, since I understand that practice is very personal to a person, right, and it's self-affirming. So, is there a motive? Because we generally, when we discuss, we are thinking that, okay, what's the motive when we are trying to do something like this or act like that? So is there a motive to at least influence your inner circle, or like inner family, or people who you connect with more? Or I mean, I want to I understand there's a self-therapeutic action to it, but I think there's also a social angle to it. So I just wanted to understand, like, as per your experience, is there a social part of it?
There is, and I think that I started doing this when kind of the internet was, kind of just started, and just started to be mainstream use, and so I ended up finding, by putting my kind of messages and thoughts about crafts and activism together, I created my own community, and then found other like-minded people that I didn't have in my own life, and I found them from all over the world, and that was like. And super important and powerful to know that you're not alone, and to be able to have groups like this where you can throw your ideas out. And I think that the important part was just saying that, like, this is what I think, this is a cool idea, look at this history, look how crafts and activism work together, and then, oh my gosh, this is happening all over the world, and this has happened for like thousands of years, and of course they're all flooded with different aspects of history and politics and whatever, but yeah, a lot of my friends like didn't even know what I was doing, or my family, for a long time, because I wasn't sure if they were going to be supportive, and not all of them were. But by sharing my thoughts online, I was able, and in writing for different publications and websites and magazines, I was able to find people and find a community that I was looking for that I didn't even know existed.
Gaurav.
Sorry, it's me. My device got switched off. Sweetie. Yeah. Sorry. So I actually wanted to, get this like a little spin off, but I think we can plug this back in. So bear with me for a couple of minutes. When the Indian economy opened up in 90s, it was this whole idea of consumerism was new to the country. And the mass media agencies, if you look at the way they gently replaced every need that was being met locally with a company or a corporation through very subtle, but very, the whole tonality was very positive. Oh, you only paint your house with the local line that's available. Why don't you go for something called Asian paints? Things like that. So I think that was like a propagandist thing that the entire media was coming together to do. And then now, when we want to go back to our roots, don't you think activism could be something as happy and as positive as the way those 90s advertisements look? They are so nostalgic. They're so dear to us. So, I mean, it's like overall touching down on this entire attitude of when I say resolution, that's the resolution that we could propagate one activity at a time, and that too on a local scale. Now because they were going one to many, now our aim is to go many to many, that is microsystems. So they had making agency at one point of time, and then they were like just multiplying that. We telecast an attitude from Mumbai and the rest of the country has to follow in. Now we have to go many to many. That is, we need to create micro movements, micro likings. So yeah, I mean, yeah, that's what I wanted to put down on table. Thanks.
Can I take a minute of everyone's time? So I have a activity in mind. Once it starts, it should take actually just a minute. I just wanted to know, when we say craft, individually, what is it that is driving us? And you can only say one word, which means I'll start, for example. So why crafts for me? I'll say form and technique. Okay, that's what I would like to know or say. So can we go on, and can everybody just say one word that drives you to talk about it, to be in the field, or to just why craft for you?
Connection.
Connection. Okay.
Or
Others?
legacy.
Okay.
Craft is skill for me.
Okay.
Or for me, it is a tool. It's about the tool.
Okay.
Yeah.
Similar for me, like the procedure and about the procedure.
Procedure.
For me, it is an emotion, the craft that I am pursuing.
Okay.
Explore for me.
Explore.
Okay.
Prosperity.
Prosperity.
Or diversity.
Yeah. Are we all done? Anybody? Sweetie's gone for a break. But so anybody else who's there?
Okay, for me it's tinkering.
Tinkering.
Yeah.
So okay, Sweetie is back. So Sweetie, the question is why craft? One word you can say. For you.
Custom made.
Custom made. Okay. Okay. The same exercise quickly for the word activism. Why activism? Activism for you, or what? Basically. So so for me, voice out. Now we can start the chain.
Challenge the state.
Pardon? Challenge.
This
Okay.
status quo.
Message. Activism is message for me.
Message.
And activism is custom made for me because I refuse to be an average persona.
Okay.
That's
Not standardized. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Connection
Nice.
again.
Bringing change.
Bringing change. Okay. So change. Since we are sticking to one word, change.
Expression.
Expression.